We make the stream.
Oh, what the?
His truck, I guess. We're getting the tow from the 6-liter. Oh yeah. Oh geez. Here we go, boys. Alright guys, so here is our subject for today. So this is a 2007, I think. Is it 2007 or is it 06? Maybe it's an 05. If it's an 05, we're uh-oh. Because I think the 06 subframe is the same. So I guess I gotta pop the hood. So the plan is this is our oh, good job, David. So, I robbed all the front end parts off of this a long time ago. No, the other one doesn't have an engine, but it's bad. Or it doesn't have a subframe in it. And that other subframe was messed up, so we're using this one because this one has a bad engine. Well, I think the timing chain like smacked itself or something like that. So
or maybe the bolt just came loose on the cam, because remember that.
I mean, could have been, but I need to check the year on here because I guess the 06 and up is all the same subframe, whereas like the 03 through 05 are like a different subframe. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop the cradle on this thing, or drop the whole subframe and everything on it.
Check the year first. What's in the bin?
Well, it's in the door, and then we're gonna try and stick the freaking LS in it.
The 6.
It's a 6. It's a 2006. If it's an 06, we're good. 07, it would have a different radio in it.
Fucking 6.
Alright, well here we go. We're gonna pull this subframe in like an hour.
10th digit.
10th digit, alright. Alright, so it took us about an hour, get all the little things disconnected and get this guy out of the car. And so yeah, there it is. So now the plan is to go ahead and actually detach the engine, tranny, axles, all that crap from the subframe, and so that it's free to set the LS on and hopefully get some things figured out. Maybe try to at least get it kind of setting halfway in the cradle and then stick it up in there tonight and see how much room we're dealing with. on there. I left them on there. Alright, so we didn't, I guess I made a big old freaking mess, and I ran into O'Reilly's real quick and got some stuff. Also got some coffees. Dave's saving this for later.
Waiting for it to melt.
He's waiting for that ice to melt. So yeah, anyhow, gonna let this, well, I've been kind of letting this soak up, so I'm gonna go ahead and sweep it around, push it around, try to get all this crap up. Got this poor little engine hanging over here on the deal. The tranny fluid just got on my face and I've been smelling it, and it smells really, really burnt. So I'm assuming the tranny was probably getting ready to be burnt up in that thing, or it I don't know. But that motor probably didn't have, or engine didn't have a very good life. So I'm probably not going to mess with it. It's probably just going to go to freaking scrap. So if anybody needs any 2.0 T parts, like big T, I'll probably take the turbo off it and the ECU and some other stuff like that. But I mean, I don't really feel like saving this thing unless somebody wants to save it. Probably needs a timing chain. But it's coming off of here, going on a pallet, and then we got to clean up this big old mess, and then we'll go ahead and we got to then get the LS off of that pallet onto this. So I don't know. We got a couple things to do, but hopefully we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out if she'll freaking fit. Alright, so we have it kind of sitting in the subframe, kind of figuring out placements and all that other stuff, but this is pretty much the stuff that, you know, no matter how much you look at it, you're just going to have to do it in order to figure it out. And I'm glad that I have this other car here, so that this way I didn't have to like pull apart my daily driver in order to see if this is actually going to work or not. So I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I did measure this one, and this 2.8 T is basically like 19.5 inches from like the bell housing right here to the front of the crank, and the LS is like 22 or something like that, 23. So it's basically 3 inches longer. So we're already running into a couple issues. So this is the tranny mount right here in the back, and you can see it's basically just worked, you know, obviously that's the tranny that basically comes out of the subframe anyhow, so that is gonna work. But since this is, you know, 3 inches longer, you could see this is our subframe mount in the front, and looking straight down you can't see it. So that is this subframe mount right here, and obviously we don't have that much room, so instead of like cutting all this stuff out right here and trying to make that work, we do have some room on the transmission side of things. So this thing is kind of interesting, this rear mount, it's kind of slotted. So as soon as we take these bolts out, it'll actually kind of slide over a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and take that out, take the bolts out, slide it over a little bit. We will lift it up a little bit, and the transmission actually sits a little bit higher when it's actually in the car because there's a mount right here. But we will pull this over this way, and then you can see the oil pan. There's kind of two levels of it here. There's like two stages of this oil pan. There's this first lip and then the second lip. And what I think we need to do is we need to get this second lip to sit on the back side of that subframe right there. And I think that will give us enough room to where it'll actually slide in the engine bay. And the only other thing that will really mess with, I guess, is our CB axle length. So, which I guess isn't the end of the world. I don't know a lot about doing custom ones of those, but I don't know. What do you think? He's just along for the ride. He's just like, do you think this is a good idea? LS swapping the Saab?
No, I wouldn't do it.
Why? What would you do?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But yeah, we're gonna try doing that real quick, and then I guess go from there. Alright, so moved it over just a little bit, and you could see that you could actually see that mount now. And it's all the way over on this side, and it's touching the transmission case. Which we could probably get away with like notching that subframe right there, just basically cutting out some of the tubing and then flipping it over and like welding it back in or something. You know, and we might end up having to do that same thing on this side to actually get the engine to sit a little bit lower. Or, you know, I don't know. I think obviously getting it over that way would probably be the best, but I think this might go up in there. So maybe what we'll do is set it down, maybe throw a strap on it. We did take these bolts out and had that thing slide over a bit. So we don't have a front transmission mount on it, just because this is the transmission that that got broken. But you know, we'd probably have to cut off these ears or something and re-weld some stuff to make it work eventually too. But what do you think the plan? Should we try sticking it in there like that? And go from there? See if we need to cut and weld and modify some stuff? I mean, that'd be cool if it just freaking went in. I think in order to change the serpentine belt though, you'd probably have to pull the motor though. Like, you'd probably have to drop the subframe. I don't know.
I'm sure, who was it, 3M? Who's that one that throttle had, like, they got like a kid and they made an O-ring? You could just do that with a serpentine belt. You could just glue it together.
Oh, you think? Maybe. Alright, so looking at this thing, I mean, that's a big frickin' engine and a tiny little engine bay. So over here, you can see we're touching right here. We are basically getting ready to touch, or we actually are touching right there on some more of those accessories, those pulleys right there in the back. So basically we're kind of running out of room on that side of things. The transmission, you can see where the mount is over here. We're already kind of in the wrong area. It's already pretty far over there. So I think me and Dave have been kind of talking about it, and he suggested it'd probably be better to more so leave the axles and everything where they are and get the transmission more so where it needs to be from the factory, so we don't have to mess with stuff like that as far as mount and you know, making custom CV shafts and all that other stuff, when we could cut this subframe out. So you can see this is, I don't know, that's probably 3 inches right there, about 2.5 right there, and then so basically what I would do is just cut that all off just flat and then weld like another piece in there to kind of strengthen it up a little bit. Is I guess kind of the plan. So that would give us a lot of room to actually scoot the engine over this way, and then what I'd have to do is notch the oil pan to get it to set down a little bit lower and actually sit there. So if you guys are sad about this car, this is basically, I bought this thing for, I think it was 350 bucks. I robbed all the pieces off of it to fix my other Saab, which is now my dad's Saab. Same color and everything, so I didn't even have to paint anything. And took, you know, some of the sheet metal off of this side. But one of the issues is like this car went through a dealer, and then like somebody bought it and then tried to sign as a dealer. So basically the title on it is really, really messed up. So you really couldn't do anything with it anyhow. So I think for you know, all intents and purposes, this is a great way for it to kind of end its life with us here, is to kind of help us mock everything up. So, you know, it's donated its subframe. It's going to donate some of that stuff. It donated its other parts. So this Saab is going to help a lot of other Saabs. Oh, and I took the mirror off it the other day for my Saab. And made the carpet, because the carpet's nice. And I think Ty needs the window regulators. And the coils packs out of the 2-liter. So, see, it's living on. So yeah, I think, are we going to cut it out now?
We can. If we don't do it now, we can go home and go to bed.
I mean, I kind of want to go home and watch some Game of Thrones. It's It's like almost 11 o'clock.
I don't think you need to watch any Game of Thrones.
You don't think so? I don't know. I mean, cutting this out doesn't sound like a bad way to end the night. And I think the engine needs to go back a little bit more on this side. And then, you think? Well, then we're going to be getting, this pulley is going to be like right where the headlight needs to be. So I think it needs to go back. But I think a lot of that, I guess, is going to have to be determined by the CV axles. And I definitely think it needs to go back more. Because the CV comes out pretty much right in line with that. Well, I don't know. It's probably where it needs to be almost. So, I don't know. And then you could see, that's the factory engine mount right there. So literally I could just weld like a plate. Not just as simple as a plate, but maybe as simple as a plate right there. And actually have the motor mount on the front. And then there's the other motor mount that bolts to this on the back. So that is, you know, that kind of gives us our options for motor mounts. So we're pretty much winging it, just kind of doing it as we go. And kind of seeing how she looks in there. So I guess either cut or not to cut tonight. That is a question. So we made some very precise marks over here on the subframe, and we're going to go ahead and give it the cut. Kind of notch it out a little bit. So we're not going to go all the way through, basically take off this kind of top layer, leave the bottom piece so that there's, you know, something to kind of weld the, maybe like some angle iron or something to later to add a little bit of strength back to it. And that'll basically let this piece of the oil pan sit in there. Alright, so we're just cutting things. Went ahead and removed that tranny mount because it was kind of in the way. You can see this is my handiwork right there. Freaking making room. Dave, what do we gotta do now?
Trevor's got to cut more. I point, he cuts.
So this is what we're looking like down here. So that's that bottom mount, subframe mount right there. And you can see we're a little bit off. So we still need to go over, the AC compressor is touching it. So we're going to cut that mount in half, and we might end up deleting it completely and maybe do something later with it, or, you know, try to figure out a way to brace the subframe or mount it in a different point. But I mean, I think
back here needs to get cut a little bit further back.
And I think we need to massage this over a little bit, just so there's a little bit more room right there. But
we'll see.
You can see there's a little bit of space in the back that we need to kind of cut out because of idlers and all that stuff. So it's definitely going to be a tight fit. And you can see up here, we had to basically cut out this whole section, kind of right here as well. So we're going to have to cut that up a little bit more. But I mean, it's semi-close. You could see, I don't know, still needs to go over about an inch and a half, I think, that way. So we're kind of, we might be pushing it in a couple spots, yeah, because I think 1.5 inches, this crank is going to actually be touching right there. So we're going to have to give that the
we'll see.
The cut or the hammer. I think we might just going to have to hammer it over.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's cut those one things first.
Alright boys, we are freaking close.
Oh, is this the same piece?
So we cut some more of that stuff back there. We cut a lot more of the stuff right here. We cut that motor mount in half. And we're freaking right there, other than this piece. We need to pull that back. I think it just needs a freaking hammer.
Probably just needs it, yeah.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're almost there. So the oil pan is still just sitting on the cross member. The only mount that we have that's actually kind of in the right spot is that back mount down there. That's that back tranny mount. I think this front one, I think in order for it to be perfect, the engine's going to kind of have to kind of go like that a little bit. But I mean, overall, it looks like we're fitting a freaking LS in a Saab. You can see that pan down there is actually touching the crank, pretty close to it at least. And so this is going to need some more massaging and or probably getting cut out. I'm trying to figure out a good way to actually strengthen this back together. I don't really think it needs a whole lot as far as like structure, like holding all this stuff together in the front. I mean, it does have half of it. The subframe is going to kind of hold a lot of stuff together, especially when we could figure out how to actually remount that right there. And the engine will be leaning back a little bit more. So we should be able to make some sort of a mount to actually mount it right there. But yeah, it's pretty much where it is. The transmission and everything should line up with the axle, so we shouldn't have to mess with any of that. But again, like I said, this is just kind of the, you know, the car that we're just using to test everything and mock everything up. We might try to get it running in here just for funnies with this tranny and this setup, just to kind of see how everything works. Kind of get everything mocked up before I pull down the daily driver. But I don't know. We're definitely still have a lot of stuff to figure out, but it's close. It's really freaking close. And I think the hood will close, and it looks like the alternator will fit as long as we don't tilt the engine too far back. The battery box pretty much comes to right here, so that'll definitely need to be relocated to the rear of the car. Gives us a little bit of room right here. Crossover pipe will go right there, and then in the back you can see the exhaust is kind of pointing straight out at the firewall. So we'll have to probably do something else with that, either turn that straight down or just kind of throw a wastegate on it and merge it up front and do a turbo setup. But there's not a whole lot of room for a downpipe after that, so we might have to do something off the hood.
You probably could just flip the manifolds.
And do them up?
Maybe. And then you could have that one with the weird flange in the front.
Yeah, I mean, well, then it would be pointing that way. I don't know. Maybe it might be able to use like a truck manifold or something. Or, I mean, LS flanges aren't really that hard to find. You could almost get that and just make kind of like a log manifold coming out front to do something like that. I don't know. Or maybe what you could do is just have a normal LS flange and have it go underneath the pan and then kind of bridge up right here and then have the downpipe going straight back. So you could have this kind of come up and have them Y right here, put the turbo right here, like up in this area, and then have the downpipe just going straight back down there. That might be an option too. But I mean, that's kind of in the future too, but it's nice to be able to think about that stuff and plan ahead. And you can see right here, these are the heater core lines. Those should go right there in the back.
Delete those stupid lines like that.
I mean, I think it needs those.
Just run it under the engine.
I mean, yeah, you could run that under the engine too. That would make sense, but yeah.
Dumb.
I mean, that is. I mean, it works, but it is dumb.
Look,
yeah. I don't know what else is. I mean, that's pretty much it for tonight.
Yeah, got Trevor to work like 8 hours today. Shit.
You think so? So yeah, again, shout out to Junkyard Dave over here. He's been helping me out all night and getting this thing kind of together. But yeah, definitely a lot more stuff to go. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for sticking around. If you guys are stoked on this project, be sure to subscribe. Dave has a channel too. He makes videos. The ones I showed you guys yesterday, his F350. That thing is getting damn close. Waiting on some.
Raped some high school kids.
Oh yeah, he's gonna leave the dually wheels behind and backwards and do some funny stuff with it. So, got me some Saab junkyard here. But again, if you guys are interested in this thing, be sure to follow me on Instagram. I do post a little update, snippets here and there. I do have a Facebook group, and obviously the YouTube channel where all this stuff is going down. So be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. Like the video, comment, let me know how stupid you think this is. Tell me how dangerous this is going to be. And
well, at least it's on the passenger side, so whoever's driving passenger side just die.
Don't say that. Well,
have you ever seen, like,
I'm gonna hopefully haul Jamie and the baby in this thing.
Have you ever seen the DeLorean crashes, or it's just like?
No. No, I mean safety is definitely a factor. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll just turn this into like a drag car and just have it like that. Nah, I don't know. But that's enough rambling for tonight. Appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you later this week.